Is it ready? Starship ready for a catch attempt? Could it be too loud? Next gen Starship developments, what is this? Starship about to fire for a third time? How come? When's the launch? A brand new spaceplane is about to take off? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. Welcome back to Starbase, the world's fastest growing launch site ever. It also happens to be the home of the world's largest, heaviest and most powerful launcher ever, the Starship. Today's news episode kicks off at Orbital Launch Pad A, the original robotic tower for launching Starship rockets. But what exactly is this? As you may already know, this site comprises two large structures, the Orbital Launch and Integration Tower and the Orbital Launch Mount. The tower, also known by its nickname Mechazilla, lifts, stacks and catches the rocket and fuels the Starship's upper stage. In preparation for Flight 5, SpaceX crews are currently preparing and modifying this launch infrastructure to support yet another launch and, get this, a catch. Newer viewers might not understand what I'm talking about, so let me fill you in. As a reusable rocket, Starship can perform a return to launch site maneuver. Simply put, it can turn around after the launch and return to where it came from. The landing works by burning its engines to slow its fall at the very last second so that it can touch down safely. Unlike SpaceX's other reusable rocket, the Falcon 9, Starship lacks any landing gear, making landing softly on its own impossible. That is unless you have a Mechazilla. I do have a Mechazilla. That tower I was talking about is outfitted with two positionable beams, which can support the rocket's weight and perform this crazy looking catch of sorts. Additionally, the chopsticks, as they're nicknamed, can help lift the rocket for assembly. Plans have been made for Starship's Super Heavy booster to attempt this type of landing as soon as the next flight, which is why we see so much preparation around these areas. While the launch mount has been tested over 4 flights, nothing like this has ever been done, which in turn means the chopsticks require much more work than the rest of the launch infrastructure. Make sense? Okay, then let's look into that catch maneuver a little closer. Once the Super Heavy booster separates from the upper stage, it heads back towards the launch site powered by its 33 Raptor engines. From there it descends, only being controlled by its 4 aerodynamic grid fins. As the vehicle descends, it gains speed and eventually breaks the sound barrier, causing a sonic boom. And that's what I'm trying to talk about. You might not even know this if you've only been watching Falcon 9 launches on a stream. These sonic booms are not audible during SpaceX's live streams, remember this, it'll be important later. It'll then throttle down to just 3 of the engines as it hovers into position over the aforementioned chopsticks. This is followed by the booster's catch pins touching down on the 2 arms, which will hold the weight of the rocket and center it. It's only rocket science, nothing too complicated. That saying should be changed to rocket engineering because it is only rocket engineering. All jokes aside, this will be an incredible maneuver to witness, and if all goes smoothly, we may finally see another reusable rocket other than Falcon 9. Now that you are a Starship expert, there is a matter of public readiness for a giant metal can to come hurtling down back from space. The fact is that people in the area are just not used to the world's largest rocket creating sonic booms in the sky. As far as potential risks go, the maneuver is relatively safe. However, the volume of the sonic booms may not be expected by those who are not space nerds like us. This is what it looks like watching a Falcon 9, or in this case a Falcon Heavy launch in person. On a live stream from SpaceX, you see the boosters come down and land, nothing out of the ordinary. In person though, this is a whole different experience. Listen to this. That is what's called a sonic boom. Both boosters send out 3 of those as they pass by right before the landing. That was loud, right? Since this phenomenon isn't as regular as it is here on the East Coast, SpaceX wants to make sure that they inform the public of what is to come during Flight 5. We even received an email from SpaceX asking us to inform you about it, and rightfully so. During the previous flight, the booster fell into the ocean miles out, meaning the sonic boom was much farther from populated areas. With a return to launch site landing, however, it's going to be loud. I mean, really loud. So if you live in the Rio Grande area, be prepared to witness and hear one of the most breathtaking things in the world of rocket engineering. A super heavy sonic boom is part of the spectacle, and it will amaze you as it does us here on the East Coast every time it happens. We've been talking a lot about the tower, but now that there are two, what about Tower B? In the last episode, we discussed SpaceX's decision to lower the crane in order for some reconfiguration. This is all in order to stack taller and heavier segments that will finish the tower. This operation has now begun, and we've even seen new boom sections added to the main boom. No sonic boom, just crane booms, again just to extend the reach. While this is important for stacking, it does mean that we haven't seen any additional segments stacked or rolled to the launch site. This new launchpad has countless upgrades based on information SpaceX learned from its first 4 test flights, but it's not the only thing SpaceX is upgrading with that information. Ship 33, the first of SpaceX's new next-generation Block 2 Starships, has also seen many upgrades based on that knowledge. It's called a Block 2 Starship because there are many fundamental changes coming. Kind of like the difference between iOS 17 and 18 and not just an incremental step. But before I tell you about that, we've looked into our channel metrics and there are over 2 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help us improve the channel even further by double checking that you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our updates. And while you're at it, give us a like and become a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries including satellite, aerial and ground photos of SpaceX's progress and countless other extras on top. You won't be able to protect yourself from extra content. And no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. Thank you very much. Okay, back to iOS 18. Wait, wrong script, back to Ship 33. We have been watching SpaceX build this next generation ship over the past couple of weeks and it is growing again. On the morning of the 4th, Ship 33's new common dome was rolled from the Star Factory and placed just in front of Megabay 2. The upper section was then moved over the new dome where they were attached together and lifted onto the welding stand to be welded together. You might wonder why SpaceX uses such a weird process to stack the sections, but it's actually genius. SpaceX's ultimate goal with Starship is mass production in the very meaning of the word. After all, they want a Starship every 3 days, so reducing the number of steps it takes to stack and weld sections is essential. So how does this reduce steps? Is it for upside down Starbase in Australia maybe? SpaceX stacks ships from the bottom up to allow their welding robot to access the ship. So in a first step, they need to get the new ring under the main section. Instead of just moving the main section out of the way, as you might expect, SpaceX lifts the main section over the new ring and attaches the ring to it before lifting both onto the welding station. This also allows SpaceX to bypass an adapter to lift the ring segment onto the stand, as the main piece acts as the adapter. Now that we know why they are lifting it like this, let's take a look at what they are lifting. Are you a member of the 5 AM club yet? I want to share something that's become a game changer for my daily routine. I've been taking AG1, the sponsor of today's episode, for over a year by now, and it is incredible how it supports my busy lifestyle. 75 vitamins, minerals and whole food sourced ingredients, it provides foundational nutrition that helps me feel energized and focused throughout the day. I've really noticed a massive boost in my energy levels. Plus it supports my immune system, which gives me peace of mind knowing I'm getting comprehensive nutrition. Robin Sharma, author of the 5 AM Club, also swears by AG1, and I can see why. With my packed schedule, meetings, project planning, outreach, episode production, and my family, I always need to perform at my best. AG1 has been a lifesaver. It's gluten-free and dairy-free. I highly recommend ordering your welcome kit to all my friends. Join me in my pursuit of better health. Go to drinkag1.com/whataboutit to get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Damn! Give it a try and start a lifelong habit of supporting your foundational nutrition. drinkag1.com/whataboutit or simply click the link in the description or scan the QR code to make your health a priority again. During the lift, we noticed a few interesting differences between this new Block 2 Common Dome segment and the previous version. It appears the most significant change is the addition of this. So what is that? It appears to be a connector for the methane downcomer pipe, which transports liquid methane from the upper methane tank through the liquid oxygen tank to feed the Starship's 6 or later 9 Raptor engines. It's like a straw. Both tanks, oxidizer and propellant, need to be connected to the engines. Since the methane tank is on top, the downcomer just goes straight through the oxygen tank. This gets rid of a huge pipe on the outside. But wait, the old Block 1 ships had a downcomer as well, so why haven't we seen a structure like this before? Well, it's likely because this new structure acts as a sort of funnel. Starship's Raptor engines need a lot of fuel. In fact, with 6 engines running, a Starship burns through almost a ton of methane per second. And that number will only go up with the new Raptor 3 engine and the addition of 3 more engines on the ship. Managing the flow of that much liquid can be complex, so SpaceX likely added this funnel to help guide the flow and to act as a reservoir for leftover fuel. The old tank dome design used on Block 1 didn't need such a structure because the domes already had a very steep angle, so it would have been redundant. However, Block 2 uses a newer, flatter dome which reduces the weight but likely makes it harder for fuel to flow and collect. SpaceX likely added this to allow the methane to flow correctly to feed these hungry engines below. Let's now take a look at a section I know some of us were starting to miss. Heat shield tile replacement. Wait, but didn't I say in the last episode that SpaceX had likely finished replacing Ship 30's heat shield tiles? Yep, that's why I'm not talking about Ship 30, which has likely finished its new heat shield installation. As a quick reminder, after Flight 4's slightly molten re-entry, SpaceX decided to replace the heat shield for the next ship in line, which in this case is Ship 30. This upgraded design is stronger and has a backup single-use ablative heat shield beneath in case the primary shield fails. So now that Ship 30's heat shield work is complete, which ship am I talking about? Right, I'm talking about Ship 31. About a week ago, Ship 31 was rolled out of Mega Bay 2 following the installation of its 6 Raptor engines. It was moved over to the high bay. Typically, after a ship gets its engines installed, the next step is to test those engines, but it looks like SpaceX had other plans for Ship 31. This isn't too big a surprise, seeing as Ship 30 and Ship 31 are nearly identical. So when it was rolled to the high bay and placed in the same area Ship 30 was in when it had its tiles replaced, we knew what was about to happen. Shortly after its roll, workers began building scaffolding back up to access the whole heat shield. Then on the 5th, Ship 31 began to shed its old tiles, starting with work on the nose cone and the aft flaps. Looking at the timeline for Ship 30's heat shield tile replacement, SpaceX started the tile removal shortly after Flight 4 on the 11th of June, with scaffolding being removed on the 20th of July. So it took a little over a month for SpaceX to completely swap the world's largest heat shield. I'd say that's pretty good. But now SpaceX has practice, so hopefully the replacement of Ship 31's tiles will be even faster. Maybe it'll even be ready before Flight 5. Should we place our bets? Of course, for Flight 5 to happen, Ship 30 needs to be ready, but recently it seemed to be going in the wrong direction. It appears that despite how Ship 30's recent static fire looked, something must have been off. I say this because after a quick stop at the rocket garden, it was rolled into Mega Bay 2 where one of its engines was replaced. This happened before. In fact, after Ship 30's first static fire in May, one of its engines was replaced due to some problems found during the static fire. This shows why these static fires are essential, as whatever problem SpaceX found during the static fire would not be fun to find in the middle of a flight. So Ship 30 has been static fired twice, and now that it has yet another new engine, SpaceX will once again need to static fire it. Shortly after replacing the engine, we saw SpaceX roll the crap static fire stand over to the Mega Bay. Craptastic! Then Ship 30 was once again lifted and placed onto the stand. This was followed shortly by the ship making a trek down Highway 4 to Massey's test range, where it will perform its third and hopefully final static fire. Third time's the charm after all. Now that we're over at Massey's, let's also look at a piece of equipment we haven't discussed in a while. Can Crusher 2.0. This can crusher is supposed to be an updated design of the old can crusher. It tests the structural integrity of tanks by using hydraulic pistons and pulleys to simulate forces on a test tank. A couple of weeks ago we saw this can crusher crush its first can when it tested a new Block 2 test tank. However, this was a bit confusing at the time as the new can crusher wasn't even complete yet. At the very least, this outer shell should be one ring taller. And how do I know that? Well, that ring is right here, just waiting to be stacked. Thanks to our recent flyover with Red Line helicopter tours, we are able to see just how far along it is. It looks complete and ready for stacking. It may even already be stacked by the time you watch this. This segment is also likely not the last one, as we can see what appears to be an alignment pin at the top of the segment, suggesting a fifth segment is coming. Flight 5's launch is still set for the end of August to the beginning of September. Many tasks have already been completed, excitement is guaranteed. Let's take a look up north now, to Canada. Wait, but I thought Canada only made robotic arms. Nope, because recently Canada has been trying to get into the launch business and it looks like they might get some help. A groundbreaking new agreement between Canada and the United States has just been negotiated. A technology safeguards agreement. Okay, more bureaucracy? This is good paperwork, I promise. This agreement will allow the use of US space launch technology, expertise, and data for space launches from Canada. In other words, US rockets launched from Canadian soil. Boom! This is big. This agreement was initiated by Maritime Launch Services, which plans to build a launch complex in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Nova Scotia.
This shows that the US is willing to allow its allies access to its cutting-edge technology under certain circumstances. In the last episode, after we were done with our epic Raptor 3 segment, which you should definitely watch, we also talked about how SpaceX was in active negotiations with Australia and the US government for Starship operations there. This shows they might have a chance. And who knows, maybe SpaceX will start looking up towards Canada for a Starship pad as well. Now let's turn our heads towards an upcoming spaceflight mission that has been well anticipated by many in the spaceflight community. A tweet from the Sierra Nevada Corporation showing this odd-looking spacecraft sparked this topic. You may be wondering what this uncanny-looking spacecraft is and what it's for. Don't worry, I'm here to explain it all. To understand this, we have to go back to 2014, when NASA realized how well its new commercial resupply missions were working. This meant that they were looking to extend these missions from the 12 contracted SpaceX Cargo Dragon flights and the 8 contracted Northrop Grumman Cygnus flights. The Commercial Resupply Services Program, also known as CRS, is a NASA program that called upon commercial industry leaders to develop cargo capsules capable of resupplying the ISS. This was essential since NASA had recently retired its iconic space shuttle, which was the only way to accomplish this. In 2014, they decided to hold a new competition for awarding contracts instead of renewing existing ones. This would give them an even wider variety of companies to choose from and, due to the growing number of commercial companies, more competitive pricing. Money makes the world go round. In the end, the 2 existing contractors were still brought on for more flights, but a new company was also selected. That company was the Sierra Nevada Corporation, a longtime player in the space industry that makes some of the most essential parts of many space systems. Dream Chaser's development began long before its association with Sierra Nevada. Fun fact, it was started by a small company, SpaceDev, which Sierra Nevada acquired in 2008. Sierra Nevada continued to develop the Space Shuttle-inspired spaceplane for this mission. The craft can be launched atop a vertical rocket, in this case the Vulcan Centaur, and can also land on a runway similar to traditional aircraft. The craft has a disposable trunk section that houses the bulk of the electronics and propulsion system. This section is jettisoned before re-entry and landing. This means the vehicle isn't fully reusable but is much cheaper than other non-reusable spacecraft. It can take around 12,000 pounds or roughly 5,500 kilograms to the International Space Station, which is about 2,000 pounds less than what Dragon can lift. While this does seem worse than Dragon, it makes up for it in cost savings. According to most estimates, launching a Dragon 2 capsule costs about $55 million, while launching a Dream Chaser would cost approximately $40 million. $15 million is quite a difference, but it remains to be seen whether this is really the exact cost of Dream Chaser since it hasn't launched yet. Originally meant to launch in 2021, its maiden flight has unfortunately been pushed back to later this year at the earliest, but I personally wouldn't be surprised if it slipped into 2025. This brings us back to the original X-Post, which was from Sierra Space themselves. They stated that Dream Chaser Tenacity, the very first Dream Chaser produced, is now undergoing final testing and preps. Yes! This will supposedly be followed by integration with the Vulcan rocket before it takes its first mission to the ISS. This first mission will be an official resupply mission with additional plans to recover and reuse Tenacity. As we talked about in the last episode, Vulcan is no longer planning to launch Dream Chaser on its second orbital flight, but instead its third. This means we have to wait just a little bit longer to see this spacecraft of the future take flight, but give it a few more months. We will see the most advanced spaceplane ever taking to the skies before returning to Earth. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and it does help us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A link is in the description. And if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you again in the next episode. Haha, come on. Jared Franklin. Nice, but not right now. Thanks. Yes. I don't know how to say that. Which was... Come on.